Hey everybody, my name is Matt Pierce. I am the Learning and Video Ambassador for Techsmith, and we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about templates. Now, you might be thinking, oh, templates are so boring. And you might be thinking, well, how am I going to use templates? Or why would I use templates? We're going to cover all of that, but we're going to be focusing in on, if you didn't know, Snagit could do templates. At the end of the show, we'll talk a little bit about Camtasia templates as well, because we want to make sure you guys are thinking about efficiency in your work. But before we do that, of course, one of the things we'd like to talk about here on the Visual Lounge is, of course, the Techsmith Academy. If you can go check out the Techsmith Academy, it is a free learning platform that's going to teach you all about creating video, teach you about using visuals, making job aids, how to write helpful help. We've got some great new courses out there that have been launched in the last couple of months that if you haven't had the chance to see, I highly recommend. And it's all free. Just go to bit.ly/Techsmith Academy. Make sure you capitalize the T in Techsmith, the S in Techsmith, and the A in Academy, and that will make sure you get to the Academy. Okay, templates. Why do you want to use templates? I like templates. Sometimes I don't like templates, but I like templates because they allow you to speed up creation. They allow you to speed up thinking. Sometimes you don't need to have something that's completely new. You just need to be able to convey information that's in a way going to allow your viewer or your learner or whoever you're talking to get the most from what their information that you're giving them. And you want to make that concise. And for you, you don't want to sometimes spend a lot of time making something. So we're going to be looking at templates and Snagit, and we're going to look at, particularly for step-by-step processes, I think this is great. I love templates because you don't have to start thinking about the format of the information. You just have to think about what is the information they're going to need, and how do I deliver that to them in a way that's going to make the most sense? The other thing I think templates does is it kind of reduces our cognitive load because we don't have to stop and think about colors, design. A lot of those things can just be taken care of so that you can just give the information. Now, we're going to look at a couple different ways to do this, and I hope that you'll find it helpful and useful. So I'm going to go ahead and dive over in Snagit here. So I've got Snagit open. This is the newest version, Snagit 2021. If you don't have the version, I recommend you go check it out. It's got some really great, awesome things about it. If you're on a Mac, particularly the speed improvements are pretty great. Okay, so now we're looking at templates here, and we're going to be building out a how-to guide and how to do something like add cards to a Trello board for maybe our development team process, which is a pretty simple thing, but somebody might need to be walked through that step by step. There are a couple ways that we could do this. The first thing we could do is we could open up Snagit and we could just go through and capture the images one by one. And I actually like that. It's a really great way. You can just take your time, walk through each step, gather the images, and then we'll put them in a template. However, if you want to be a little bit more creative, what you could do is actually record a video, give that video to people as well. So you're going to maybe give them a little bit extra detail, show them all the motion and action. And then in Snagit, you can go through and you can pull out each individual frame that you need in the job aid or the template that you're going to maybe print off or hand out. Now, if you're a Camtasia user, same thing. You could go and record your video in Camtasia, edit it all up so you got this really nice looking video, and then take the frames that you need for the handout later and bring them into Snagit and put them into a template. So let's just take the simple approach first. Let's just do a walkthrough with capturing some images. And I'm going to go through that process because I don't think it hurts us to be reminded of what it looks like. So let me open up see if I can find my browser here. So I got Trello here. And I've set up a hotkey because I like using a hotkey to capture stuff. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to capture this full screen. This is my establishing shot, if you will. It's going to give context to everything that my viewer's seen. And it's captured. So I've gone through that basic capture process. There you can see it's in my tray. And we're going to just keep doing that process. So actually, I'm going to move this down a little bit. Now this time I want to go to add another card because it's a step. So add a card. I'm just going to put text, and I'm going to move my mouse because I'm recapturing my mouse cursor right here so it's in context. Go see. There we go, capture, and I'm going to capture, in this case I'm capturing the entire web page just so it's consistent. Do it again. Now, if you're doing this process, one of the things you could do just to speed it up, just as a little tip, is I could say, I'm not going to preview an editor. And so now this one, I'm going to go into this card. And now I've got this. I'm going to write description here. I'm not being super detailed here because it doesn't really matter for our purposes. I can capture that one. And now I've got, let's say I wanted to add a member. And there, oops. So in this case, I want to capture the entire web page again. Just so again, I'm looking for consistency. And let's do one more. Actually, let's do it good here. And one thing I want to capture though is a little bit different. I want to capture this dragging process. Now, typically in a still image, you don't capture motion. But in this case, I'm just going to put my card here, kind of hold it in this state, do my capture hotkey, and boom. And that's going to make a really nice piece to that template. And I'm going to capture that. And so now what we can do is I'm going to bring up Snagit again. Now, even though I wasn't previewing those in Editor, they're still here. So I didn't lose anything by doing that. I just sped up the process of having to get Snagit out of the way. So now I've got these things. Now there's a couple ways we can go about creating a template in Snagit. And I'm going to show you both, but I want to start with one way first. So we could go up here and we could choose the plus button and choose image from template. And I think that's pretty good if you don't have your images already or you're not sure exactly what's going to go in there, but I know exactly the process I'm going to go through. So I'm going to go to my tray down here. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to hold the shift key and it works for Mac or Windows. And I'm going to select this last one. Now I've got these 5 images here and I'm going to right click and it just fell off the screen just a little bit. And I apologize for that, but it's going to say combine in template. And I'm going to click that. And once I've clicked that, I get these options. Now, this is the first time we're actually looking at these options. So let me make this a little bit bigger here. And you can see there are a number of different options here you could choose from. A lot of different layouts, some different color choices, and you can choose any of these. And I might, if I was doing this particular project, I might choose this one right here. That would be perfect because it's got 5. Or I could choose this one with 4. And we'll talk about if you don't have the right number, that's fine. But before we do that, what I want to do is share with you something I think is important here. Because if you don't see the template that's going to work for you here, up here it says in the corner of this menu, select the template or download more. If I go to download more, what you're going to get is you're going to come to Techsmith Assets for Snagit. Now, this is a paid subscription service. However, even though there's a paid aspect to it, there are a number of things that are free. So don't be discouraged by that. Like, oh, it's paid, I can't use it. Well, there are free assets out here, things that you can download for free. And you can see it brought me right to templates and I could come here and I could look through these. Now I happen to be logged in. So let's say this is a multi-purpose one and I can start going through here. You can see there's a free tag there and I can just go down through. Let's maybe choose one of these more colorful ones. Feeling this green right now. I kind of like this one right here. It says I need to buy a subscription. Well, I technically should have one, but I guess I don't. So maybe I'm logged in with the wrong account. But anyways, you can download. So let me just do this one. I'm just going to choose open in Snagit. I'm going to accept the terms and services. And now it's going to open it up for me. And I should be able to see it in here. So go ahead and look through those to see if there's one for you. In fact, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to choose just this one here, this basic 5 steps, because I know it's going to work. And I'm going to choose next. And now, because I've already selected my images, it gives me these images. And I can do a couple things here. First of all, I can give this a title. So adding a card to Trello, if I could type. And what this will do is add an actual title on the document. And then you can see I've got the space for captions. So I can actually write the text that I want in here. And it's a little hard to see, so we can use our slider here to zoom in so you can see the images a little bit better. And one of the things you'll notice when I zoom in is that I selected them in the wrong order. They're completely backwards. Not a worry though. We can take this and we can actually just rearrange it here. I'm just going to move it 1, even though that's not still quite the right order. And so, okay, so I can just move them around and I can add captions. So this last one, I'm going to add a caption, the one I just moved, and I want it to say, drag your card to the right column. Or maybe I should use correct column. Anyways, we'll do a little bit more with this, but I just want to show you what that looks like when it comes in. So I'm going to say continue. or combine. It's going to take a second to process, and this is okay. So be thinking about what you're going to want in your handout, your template. You can see here I've got my title. It showed up in this particular layout. You can see that the step 2, in the ordering here is a little funky. It goes kind of in an N order. If you're sort of not really an N order, I guess it's backwards N. Goes 1, 2. So it's going down the vertical, then it goes over from the top down. So you see that 2, it said it brought that caption right in. These are all numbered. It looks really good. However, they're still out of order. One of the new things in Snagit 2021 is the fact that you can actually drag and reorder these now. In previous versions, oh gosh, it was tough, right? Like you had to start over. It was just made for a mess. But now it's super easy. So number 5 is actually my first one. So I'm just going to not choose that. I'm going to make sure you select your move tool here, and it says drag to swap. And I'm just going to drag it. Boom. Now watch what happens when I move this, what is our current number 2, to be at the very end. Remember, I already wrote a caption for this. So now I'm going to drag it, and it not only changed the location of the image, it actually changed the location of the caption. Which to me, this is just really great, because now I can go through and reorder everything with kind of just super easy, just move them around, put them where they need to be, and not really have to think about it if I didn't pre-plan well enough. Okay, a couple other things I think we need to look at. I think this is a little bit small. Now, we're looking at this at 100%, and I know I can zoom in here in Camtasia and Snagit so you guys can see it. So you can see, like, if I zoom in at 400%, it looks pretty good, but it's a little hard to read, and you just want to be careful about that. So particularly because this text, even if I did a good job of, capturing everything, at the size, it's going to be hard. So what we can do is got my arrow tool still selected, and if I double click on these images, what I can do is I double click and I get this blue highlight, and then I can resize the image. Now this first one, I'm just going to set context a little bit because I want everyone to see the whole board. That's basically the first caption would be something like, go to Trello to add a card. So nothing fancy, but setting context. And don't forget to set context when you're in things like this, because you want people to understand what are they looking at and where are they looking, even in images. Now, number 2, I can't see the card that I added, so I want to go in here. I'm going to just make this a lot bigger. And you do see that, maybe there's some scaling issues here, but let's just bring this here. That actually looks really good. Now, I think I made a mistake, though. I think what I really want to do, and let's just do it for number 3 here, is I feel like it needs an annotation. I can go in here and I can add an annotation. I can just bring over here an arrow, and I could bring here, but it's a little big. I don't know if I like it. Let me see if I scale it here, what happens. We're going to just make that so that's the focal point. Click off that. So you can do that pretty well, or you can actually do it previously. You could come to let's look at this last one here. Yeah, and so let's say I want to add an arrow here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. If I can select it, change my width a little bit, just because I like that big, really visual. I don't like shadows, so turn those off. Always can adjust it. And I'm going to save that so I can use it again and again. Now, if I go back here, I believe I should be able to just replace that. It's that easy. And now when I scale, so get there, and I'm going to scale this up, move this over, it's going all together. So it's going to look exactly the way I want. So you got lots of flexibility here, lots of ways to annotate, lots of ways to grab someone's attention. Make sure they're understanding exactly what they're looking at. You can see pretty clearly 1, 2, 3, 4. This makes a very quick way to make a job aid. In fact, I could have done this in 5 minutes if I wasn't trying to explain everything, really. A couple other things here you want to see. You'll notice that you've got this Acme Corp here. We'll talk about how to change that, made with Snagit. These are all deletable. You can just get rid of the things that you don't want. If you don't need those there, I think that's super easy to do. Now, one thing you might be noticing, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit just so we get a full perspective here, is there is this blue plus. So let's say I missed a step. That's probably likely to happen at some point. And I hit this, I can actually choose to add a whole nother section. And it's going to continue the numbering, and it's going to add those things here. So now if I go here, I could add another one. So you can really, if you didn't do it quite right, it's so much more flexible than it's ever been. And it's just a breeze to really make sure you get all this stuff. So previously, I actually captured this image, which is kind of the same project, but it was about changing the date. And so let's say I want to go add that in. However, I'm going to add that here. So I put that at the end. And then this one is, I want my moving card. I'm going to put it in 6. And I would have to go and resize that. I could have just swapped them. That would have probably been smarter for time, but it's okay. Now we have this other problem. Now we have too many things. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to choose our selection tool, and we can actually just go select that, and we can get rid of those. Now, let's say the color, the black is a little dreary, doesn't stand out. I want someone to really see those numbers. I'm going to just hold the shift key down, and I'm going to select. Oops, it helps if you actually hold the shift key. I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to go through these, and I'm going to select all these, and I'm going to come over to my fill, and I'm going to choose a color. I'm going to choose something that's going to pop a little bit. I like this yellow because it goes with my arrows. And now you'll notice on Mac, it's a little different. There's the lock icon, so you don't mess something up, but you can go and I can start to change these size by size. And so if I wanted them a little bit bigger, a little bit manual to do that, but you can see that maybe that stands out a little bit better because the numbering to me on this particular template isn't intuitive that it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's not a problem. If you want to change it, there's ways to change it. So now we've got this, but let's say one more thing here we want to do. This down here, let's get rid of the title. I don't need it. Let's say I really want this particular image to be bigger, much bigger. I want to fill up some of the space here. I can, again, on Mac, I can unlock it. And now, don't worry about the number here. I'm just going to make it bigger. And I can still do this double click. And I should be able to make this even larger. So really, all of a sudden your templates, are super cool, right? Like you can really move them around, change them. You can manipulate them to make them look the way you need them to look. So if you want something bigger because it's more important, you can easily do that. If you want something to be smaller, you can do that. If you want to get rid of these captions and these other things, you can do that. So this is one whole process. And again, the idea behind using a template is to speed up your work. You're going to speed it up so that way you can really focus on what's important. That is the information that you're sharing and not how are you going to convey that information. And there's lots of templates. You can customize this, do this work and make it look the way you want. With that all said, I do want to show another way to go through this process because I think it's important because sometimes you're not going to have all your screenshots ready, but you want to develop the template a little bit so that way you're ready. So that way once you get the information, you can just put it in. So in this case, I'm going to go up to this plus button in Snagit. And again, you get 2 options, image from template or video from images, which I'll talk about here towards the end because I think there's a great way to use this in conjunction. So now I go to image from template and you're going to get that same dialog box with all the options. Now, before I go on and choose a template here, I want to point out there is a settings button. If you click on the settings button, you're going to get 2 settings. It's really one setting. It's created by, and it will pull the information from your system. So in my case, it says Tierce, Matt, or you can put in a custom. So maybe your company name, or maybe some other defining thing that you want to be on your documents that it will put in automatically. So I've got Acme Corp here. So I'm going to say save. And now I'm going to choose a different template. Let's choose, even though I know this is a 5-step process or 6-step process, I'm going to choose something a little bit different because I want a different flow. I'm going to choose this one that's got 3, and I'm going to say create. And now it's the same process. I just need to click and drag and add from the tray the steps. And again, I don't have enough things, so I'm going to have to add more like I showed you before. But you'll notice we've got a few more of these plus buttons. So now if I click on this one, I can easily add a new, like a section head or title. I can add a new footer. I can add the actual steps. If I come down here, same thing. It's just about where you're going to place it, right? So let's say I want this on a separate page. So I'm going to add down below this and maybe, I don't know. Let's add this title just in case. So now I can continue adding. It's really easy to continue to develop this out. So I've got the first 3, 4, and we'll put this one at 6, and then we'll go back here and get this one is there. And it's the same process. You just need to go through and adjust the images so it looks the way that you want. But the nice thing is we can really start to customize this. And you got plenty of room for captions and plenty of room to move this. So let's say step 3, again, I want to do something that's a little bit different because I want step 3 to really stand out because maybe it's the most important. Let's get rid of some of these here. Now you'll notice one thing I did notice, it didn't renumber, so you should be able to pretty easily make that change. Let's see if it just might be a little bit more manual, which if I just go to my stamp tool, and I'm going to push this, but now I go here and I'm going to say this is 4, and I can go renumber that to be stamp tool 5. 6. So it's pretty easy to if you made a mistake or you got rid of some stuff, the numbering wasn't quite right. But now again, we can take this here, we can move it down. If I got it unlocked, but move it down. Oops. There we go. And I can resize this so I can really get that focus going. Maybe I need to leave some room for that caption. Maybe I get rid of my footer here. And you can see I can also drag here, just these blue lines. I can drag a little blue hash that's going to be above or below. I'm just going to make sure I've got plenty of space. Now, one of the things that you're going to probably wonder about is, well, how's that going to look and Snagit's going to work really hard to try to make this work for your page so you can print it off. If we go here and I go up, I'm going to go to my file menu and I'm just going to print. You can see here, it's a little small, but you can see it's putting this all in one page and it easily separates that on the next page, which is really great. So that means it's going to try to be smart about separating those pages so you don't have something that's like that half on one page, half on the other, which is never good for anyone. So that's really a lot of the Snagit template stuff that I can show you right now. I think it's super fantastic. I think as you look at these things, you're going to find that there's a lot of great information that you can easily put in here. Now, I still want to talk about Camtasia templates. Before I do that, though, let's talk about the value of doing this process. If you're looking for multimodal type of recordings, first of all, you've got these great images, right? Well, maybe there's something more that you need to do or more detail that you need to give than you can give in a job aid. The job aid is really just a set of quick instructions kind of as a reference. Well, with my tray, I'm going to still do that shift select. I've got just these 5 images. I'm going to right click on it again. I'm going to right click on it again. And now I've got this down here, create video from images. So now it's a little bit off the screen because Snagit is taking up my full 4K monitor. I actually have the full option to record everything in this area. You can see the yellow dancing lines. You can see that, and if I resize Snagit, it's going to cause problems. Let me just move it over here. The recording section is a little bit outside because I am doing some recording in Camtasia. But anyway, what you're going to be able to see is you can record and you can add annotations. So I can mark these up as I go and I can record my voice. I can talk about it step by step. So that way I can give that more detailed information from the screen capture I've already done. And of course, I'll just remind you that if you don't want to start images to video, you can go video to images. And really what that process looks like, let's just go through it real quick. Let me go to video, select here, and I'm just going to say choose this, and that's fine. I'm going to actually get rid of the Snagit assets page here. Okay, so now I could just go add another card, and then I could walk through step by step describing what I'm going to do. You know, write your description, add your member, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you want to do here, right? I got this whole process. As long as it's going to take your time. I can even capture this, moving it to here, and then I'm going to say stop. And what Snagit's going to do is going to open it up, and now I just can go along and say like, well, this is a really great screenshot. And then I'm going to come along here, and I can hit the PNG button. And now, so I've got that. So it just adds it as an image. So I come back here, and now I'm going to go through here, and I can capture all the detail. I could still put this in a job aid. Didn't take me much extra work, and I would be able to deliver 2 modes of the information, the video and the image. So hopefully you're catching the vision of what templates could do. I mean, think about all the information. It doesn't have to just be step-by-step guides. It could be any kind of thing where you need a series of images. Maybe you want to provide a timeline. Maybe you want to provide who knows what else. I think there's just so much here. Now, we're going to see how this works. I'm going to open up Camtasia. So one of the things you can do in Camtasia, and I'm just going to start with a blank project. Let me just make this a little bit bigger, make sure it's going to be visible for you guys to see. One of the things you can do is actually you can build your own templates in Camtasia as well. Since we're talking about templates, we might as well look at the full gamut of things we can do. Now, a couple ways to do this. First of all, it's really easy, and let me just pull this up here. On our timeline, if you just right-click on your timeline, you can add a placeholder. And your placeholder is just basically this place where you're going to put media. And you can adjust the length of time. And if you don't know the exact time, that's okay. I'll show you some things you can do. So now I've got this placeholder here, but maybe I know for my particular videos, and I've been doing this a lot, I'm going to add another placeholder that is going to be my introduction. And let me show you here. I'll put this here like this, and I'm going to call, instead of calling it placeholder, I'm going to call it intro. So that way I know what it's supposed to be. So now it's named that on the timeline. I could even put some notes up here like, hey, Matt, put intro here. And, so you can actually give that information to whoever's making the video, if they don't know. Okay. And then I can come over here and maybe I got this, maybe it's pretty simple, but now I've got in my library, I happen to know I've got a lower third. I'm going to bring that in here so it's always comes up on screen. So that's easy peasy. And then maybe I want another lower third kind of over here. And you can adjust this as much as you want. You're just building out a framework of where you're going to put pieces in that. Now, I also know I happen to have this introduction in my library that I use. And I can play, if I just play that back. Okay, I know I always want that. Now, I'm going to move this so it kind of aligns here. So I'm going to want it to transition from the end of this into my placeholder. And maybe I do a little overlap or whatever here. Again, you want to get it set up as much as possible, but leaving for room that things might be a little different per video. So now it's awesome possum. I've got this set up. I'm ready to make a video. Maybe I've got kind of an outro here at the end that I always play. Kind of set that up. Cool. So now let's actually get some media in here, because we need to be able to have something we're going to play. So got some media already, it looks like, in here. Let's bring in, let's bring in this one. Nope, that's just some screen images. Oh, that's from my intro. Let me just go to my media bin. Let's go plus and import media. Just give me a second here. I'm going to pull in a video here. Let's actually pull in this one. And now this is one of our live streams, so it's a big video. Now the problem is, if I'm going to add it to the timeline, it's going to import it for a second. I'm going to add it to the timeline, not on a placeholder, and you're going to see just how long it is. It's like 50 minutes. That's not going to fit in my 1 minute placeholder here. So just be aware that you're going to have to think about this a little bit, but that's okay. Because again, placeholders are just kind of a gauge of what you're doing. Could I make this a really long placeholder? Yeah, absolutely I could. Helps if you hit import, by the way. Anyway, so I could do lots of things here, but in this case, I'm just going to drag this down so you can see, and I'm going to zoom out. This is a super big video. It is almost an hour long. It's definitely something I could use, but you notice the way I've set up my structure here, it's not going to work. So I'm going to first of all, I'm going to delete this off of this part because I want to show you how to add to a placeholder. I'm just going to click and drag, and I'm going to just kind of come over my placeholder, and I'm going to make sure it turns green. You can see it's turning green there. And once I've added my media on the placeholder, I'm going to let go. And now it's going to give me some options. I can ripple replace, meaning it's going to move things around. I can replace from the start. So it's going to fit into the placeholder that I have. from the beginning, meaning it's going to truncate everything after the however long it is. I can replace from end, meaning it's going to take from the very end and truncate everything before that. Or I can try to replace it with clip speed, which is going to speed it up and try to fit it in all into the space that I have, which would be comical because we wouldn't get anything out of this particular piece of media. Now, before I do that though, I've got an intro here. And in fact, I know in this particular video, I'm just going to bring it over here so you can see it. We've got some introductory stuff that I just want to get rid of because it's before the show actually starts. And countdowns is very helpful. There's the intro. And get right there. I'm just going to cut here. And I can get rid of all that first stuff. That helps with the length a little bit. And now I know I've got my introduction stuff that I do about the Techsmith Academy like I did today. And I talked to Michelle before I get to talking to Michelle. I introduce her. And there we go. And so this is going to be my intro right to here. We're going to say that. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So I got this very small beginning piece, and I'm going to click and drag to my placeholder at the front. Now, I'm going to move it just closer so you can. I want to make sure we can see this because I think it's worth seeing. I'm going to click and drag on this again. I'm going to hold it over this intro, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose that ripple replace. Now, it only replaces or ripples the things on the timeline, so that's something to be aware of as you're doing this. There's ways to probably do that, get around that. I don't know if we can group it or not, but then, I mean, this stuff is pretty easy to move, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But it definitely pushed everything else out. So I'm going to put the end right there, and I'm going to put this placeholder. I'm going to put this intro video right in between these, because you want to start thinking about how you're going to make this easier for someone else to build. And I probably should have spent a little bit more time working on it, but that's okay. So now I've got this. So now if I add the rest of the video, which is still hanging out over here that I've cut, I can just click and drag here to this placeholder, and I can do that ripple replace again. But for our purposes, I'm just going to go instead of ripple replace, I'm going to replace from start so you can see. It just fills in that spot. So you're going to want to play with your organization a little bit, seeing about what pieces and assets. I actually really like having things in my library that I can just add. But once you get this template built out, let me just get rid of some of these things here. So I can show you kind of the purpose of what we're going to do here. Let me add a placeholder back in. So I got this introduction here. And I'm just going to make this here and this here. Maybe we can even do a group. So now you might have to ungroup it to add that piece of media. But again, you can really play with these things. So here we go. So now once I get this all set up though, once it's ready to go as a template, you can see I've got my intro, I've got this here. We need to save it. And so if I go to File, which is, sorry, it's off the screen. You can't see it right now, but you're just going to go new project from template, or you're going to save project as template in this case. So I'm going to give this a name. Let's go Matt new video. Cool, I'm done. So I can close this, and I don't need to save it because I already saved it as a template. And now I go open Camtasia, and I'm going to open new project from template. Again, this is just off the screen, and it's going to bring me the template to the template manager. And now you're going to see a bunch of templates in there. For instance, you can see that you've got things that you've built, you've got things that we're providing. You can go to the Camtasia asset library and download more. Again, it is paid subscription. There are some free ones, but there are also ones that you need to be paid as a subscriber to get. And then I'm just going to go new template, and I can choose this Matt standard video. You can see another one I worked on. And it gives me kind of the similar layout, right? Like it's got things already there, ready for me to start adding content. If you're making a lot of the videos that are similar, they look the same, they kind of got the same function flow, this can save you a lot of time. Again, there's some things to work out, like how are you going to make sure your timing's right? How are you going to make sure things don't get moved around too crazily? But I can tell you that if you can set this up, you don't have to stop and think about like, well, what do I put here? Add stuff to your library. We are all about saving time and efficiency in this episode. So do the things that are going to save you time. Is it going to take upfront work? Absolutely it will. You're going to have to think about colors. You're going to have to think about schemes. You're going to have to think about the branding that you're going to use in it. You're going to have to think about layout and organization. And are all videos kind of organized the same way? Do they all have an intro, like a welcome thing, and then a video and an end? Or are they different? But if you can do this, the cool thing is these templates can be shared across teams. So if one of you is really good, you can crank out making some templates. And the teammates get the benefit of building off of those templates and making great looking videos over and over again. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you find this useful information. One of the things before we wrap up though is, go check out the Techsmith Academy. We're not going to teach you about Camtasia per se there, other than the live stream videos. But I would recommend that you go check it out because there's lots of great information. The other thing I would do is go check out the tutorial section of the Techsmith website. If you go up to techsmith.com, you go to support, and you can go to tutorials. You're going to find a lot of great tutorials teaching you how to do the basics of Camtasia and Snagit. And if you're a maintenance subscriber, you've got maintenance added to your products, you can go take the certifications, which are going to open up even more kind of learning options and opportunities. A lot you can learn with the free stuff, but the certifications definitely go deeper in terms of more comprehensive workflows.